They start calling me fat. I'm like, all right, that's kind of funny. I am fat, a little chubby. Then they start calling me a fat bitch. I said, wait. That shit hurt. I go look in the mirror.
Hey, it's Bunny. And I wanted to come on here and just talk about, just rant about like a trend of attack on femininity, skinniness, stereotypically feminine aesthetics, and like just branding anything that resembles stereotypical femininity or like adheres to beauty standards as being a push for like conservatism. And of course, SJW's new favorite term, alt-right pipeline. I can't stop hearing about it. It's literally like everywhere. To an extent, like I understand, but at the same time, some of the things that people have been pointing out as leading to the alt-right pipeline are literally such a reach, right? And so like the Coquette hate train kind of started off small, right? And I felt like everybody loved it at its height. And yeah, but I feel like it's been moving into a space where it's like really weird and people are like really pushing a narrative that is just false. But, I'm going to show you a clip that's kind of along the lines of like the hate that I'm talking about, like the making fun of and just all the conspiracies. And then I'm going to come back with my
I
commentary.
swear, you guys are so boring. This conversation about bloomers and the bubble skirt, like, just let people have fun. I don't understand that. Like, everyone's mad at this trend. I think it's extremely, extremely cute. And I've made videos talking about referring to women as children because of the way that they dress. But this video is specifically about the bloomers and the bubble skirts. Like, just let people have fun. Just let people experiment. Just let people do whatever the fuck they want to do. If you don't want to participate in it, that's completely fine. Don't participate in it. But to start shaming people for wearing specific things like bloomers and saying that they look like they're wearing full diapers and stuff, which I don't think that they look like that at all. Like, I feel like when it comes to fashion, you guys are so fucking boring. Every single time there's something that's out there and you don't like it, like, let people experiment, let people do what they want to do, let people wear what they want to wear. If they want to wear fucking bloomers and bubble skirts, then let them do that. The way that you guys come after some of these people because of their fashion choices is very odd to me. I think the bubble skirts and the bloomers are just so adorable and so girly. And a lot of people like to equate femininity with children. If you are super feminine or hyper femme, they like to correlate it with being a child. I don't get that notion. I don't get where it comes from. And we live in a society where we have the opportunity to dress the way that we want to dress, and you guys choose to be fucking boring. And I know, coming from me, I'm like, just dress in a fucking t-shirt. But the people that are saying shit about the bubble skirts and the bloomers has no sense of style at all. Those people have no sense of style. If you have no sense of style, you don't experiment clothing wise, you don't try new things clothing wise, then I think that you should.
I agree with like basically everything that she said. And I agree. Like, I find it so weird how being feminine is now being seen as almost like you're being childish, right? And like people are almost like insinuating that as women, when we become older, we now have to like throw out femininity like it's a childish thing, like it's a thing of becoming a woman, right? And embrace more like traditionally masculine things because let's be like honest, these people want you to adopt things that are traditionally masculine, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that if you want to, but like pushing it on people and making it seem that, if you don't want to do that, that you're being childish and all that stuff. It just feels very weird. And it's almost like they want you to be like, I don't know, like a beige mom or something, where you have this very like, I don't know, like gray everything, like Kardashian, like back when she was like with Kanye, like the gray and the pale colors and neutrals and things like that. Just feels like that, right? And like I feel like other women, and I'm specifically seeing like 20-year-old women, of course, right? But also a lot of older women that I'm seeing as well, right? Who are doing this thing, you know how like people were saying, oh, why does the world make fun of teenage girls for having interests like Twilight and all the things that like liking pink and things like that, right? And like I totally agree with that, right? But I feel like these people who would have years ago been talking about how that's so wrong and things like that are now doing it but don't think they're a perpetrator because I don't know, they're hiding under the guise of r- taking down the patriarch or something, while unknowingly kind of reinforcing it in a way. Yeah. But like I feel like it's started to like escalate in a way, and now they're saying, oh, it's Coquette is rooted in and adhering to PDF file like beauty standards. And I just don't know how we got here, right? Um, like watch this clip and I'll like come back with my commentary again. But yeah.
Coquette is literally the fucking nymphet Lolita shit from Tumblr in 2013.
Okay. So I feel like again, I can kind of see where she's coming from, but at the same time, it's literally like how why is everything in this aesthetic being, written off as, oh, this is the nymphet thing, right? Um, when there are like anybody who is in like a subculture or like an aesthetic or anything like that knows that there are people who, take for example, goths, right? There is like a perception that all goths are like satanic and devil worshippers and da da da, right? However, I'm pretty sure you can find goth people. I've met so many goth people who are Christians, who are like religious and things like that, but have an alternative aesthetic, right? So, of course, not everybody in an aesthetic is the same. And it just feels like you're lumping in people who already had like this sort of fantasy about the Lolita book, right? And kind of, I don't know, like, and had this intersection with Coquette and with their, fantasies about that book and, the aesthetic revolved around it. I feel like it kind of just merged together and then people are running with it and saying, oh, that's the, you know, I don't even want to say the term anymore, literally. Like, yeah, because it creeps me out. It really does, right? And just saying, running with that narrative. And I feel like it's so obtuse. I feel like there's no nuance and just feels really dumb. It does to me, at least. Um, yeah, and it was like I remember seeing this video, right? At the height of the whole Coquette thing, right? And I wish I could find it, but I literally can't find it anywhere. It was either this East Asian woman or South Asian woman. The East Asian woman I'm thinking of, no, I'm pretty sure it was a South Asian lady with like, I'm so sorry, I'm not trying to be rude, right? She had dark under eye bags, and that's the only way like I like remember her, right? And yeah, like she was talking about how, Coquette is rooted in pedophile standards and adhering to it, and it's like childlike and like it was so wild. And I remember seeing that and I was just like, oh my god, can we not have anything? Anything? Literally. Like it feels so weird, right? And yeah, but I feel like it's also getting to a point where it's now being said, right? Well, for a while it's now being said, but I feel like it's really amped up now because of the election and everything that's happened, right? And it's being said that Coquette is a part of the alt-right pipeline, and they're also sort of tying it into ED culture and things like that. And yeah, watch this clip of somebody who has a Coquette aesthetic and who kind of just goes on about their experience, right? And yeah, thank you.
Hi, I'm going to talk about a lot of conversations that are being started because of this video, but we're going to start with this one. It's definitely the only thing last year or two. And like Coquette has had problematic aspects to it for a long time. I think it just obviously cycles into different areas. So when Trump won the election, a lot of fashion commentators were kind of talking about how you could see the rise of conservatism in fashion for the last year or so. And a lot of people brought up Coquette as an example, which at first kind of upset me, but like it is true. And I think a lot of it is like what we were talking about with like divine femininity. Like if you haven't seen people talk about the divine femininity thing, like we were talking about it in the comments, but like it is just like repackaged generals. It's to make them sound like prettier and more spiritual, and it's just gross. Personally, my relationship with like these aesthetics started at a very early age. My mom is a very artistic person. She taught me how shabby she was when I was a child. Like I had their stuff in my bedroom. I had Laura Ashley stuff in my bedroom. I had the cutest ballerina teddy bear watercolor pastel wallpaper. Some of you might remember it from some of my videos, but I have loved this style since I was a child. And to talk more personally, I do have a chronic heart condition. I have to avoid adrenaline rushes and like just like stuff like that, like scary movies. Like I'm very sensitive. I also have anxiety, and I just really prioritize comfort. So for me, like I said in my last video, I feel duped a lot, and I like to have comfort wherever I can control. I think everything should be cute. That's just how I am. That is why I love the aesthetic. I want to control what I can to be soft, light. Yeah, I think the whole divine femininity thing can also go like hand in hand with the tribe-like content. And while I don't think dressing up and looking cute in your kitchen while you cook for your family is inherently problematic, but I think that type of content feeds a certain lifestyle that very much aligns with conservatism, and I think that has a lot to be said. There's also a history with aesthetic, especially on Tumblr, with ED Tumblr. There's also a side aesthetic that attracts very gross men and allows the site to be sexualized in a gross way. Well, I have loved the aesthetic my whole life. I definitely had a period of time where I did not always dress like it. I think it showed up in my other art forms. I studied fashion design, and it definitely showed up not while I was in college, especially. But because I was in college during the Instagram baddie phase, I wanted to feel like I could also look hot because I was always one of those cute but not hot people. And so I had a phase where I strayed away. But when I came back, when I was an adult, I was like 22 when I came back to it. I felt like I was very much just like getting more in line with myself, and also like getting away from like the male gaze. That was like a big conversation around that time. But I still have to say, for me, true hyperfemininity is man repelling, but it all depends on your approach to it. And I am going to talk about something that's a bit awkward for me to talk about on the internet, but we are going to talk about fancy because they are a bit of a face for the brand, and it's a bit awkward for me because I've gone to some other events in the past and stuff, and I've gotten gifting from them and stuff, but yeah, they obviously attract a certain type of person. They attract a lot of southern white sorority girls, but they're also Zionist, and they've obviously had their share of scandals in the past, and I don't want to open a can of worms for this conversation here, and there's plenty about it online, but there's a lot of things going on in our space that's not the most pleasant, and I think it's just important to like be cautious of like how we approach our style and how we talk about it and how we date, especially if you date men. I could talk about that for hours if you ever want to video on it. I obviously have had a partner for over 3 years, and he is just a sweet angel and does no wrong ever. But it took me a bit to get there and a lot of uncomfortableness in the process. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I was a little scattered like a February because my heat was like on and then not on, and I can't control it. It's so cold in New York today. It's like feels like 5 degrees out. But yeah, I might make some more videos in response to this last video, but I don't know. Let me know what you want me to talk about. I could keep yapping about a lot of things.
Okay, so I remember like watching that clip when I was researching for this video, right? And I was just like, where's she going with this, right? But then she brought up the point about how she thinks that Coquette kind of repels men, right? The hyper femininity of Coquette, like real Coquette, right? Kind of repels men. And I was just like, yes. And then she talked about how, some parts of it, like she specified that some parts of it lean into that Lolita's type of thing. And then others are, there's bad sides of it, right? But I feel like she kind of said what people are like missing, and it's that these women who are now doing the Coquette aesthetic, right, who have now adopted that aesthetic, would have already been conservative. They would have already been, you can't just, I don't believe that the people who fall into this alt-right pipeline, right, just fall into it. The seeds are already there, right? You don't just fall into it. It's not the way that they're making it seem like you're just going to one day be the super liberal person, right? And then you just fall into it. You just fall into, I don't know, going to Trump rallies and things like that. And yeah, it just feels really odd, the fear mongering that I'm seeing, and just the exaggerating. I'm hearing a lot of exaggerating. And to an extent, again, I understand, but at the same time, it's literally like y'all are trying to make people more scared than they already are, and I don't feel like it's not this noble thing. It's not, you're not saving anybody, you're not being an advocate or something like that. You're not being you know a social justice warrior. You're just being a fearmonger. You're literally. And it's just like these women would have already been conservative. They just have that aesthetic because it kind of, I don't know, appeals to them. And we could have a conversation about like why it appeals to them. And of course, things about conservatism and, you know, traditional values and of what women are supposed to dress like and look like and behave like and things like that, right? But I feel like it's really just a way to just attack these women, right? Much like how we've seen so many people attack people like Nara Smith and Ballerina Farm specifically, right? When that feminist went to her farm, right, to do an under the guise of doing an interview, right? And didn't come with an open mind, but wrote the article after, right? As if she's being held hostage by her husband and just projecting a lot and all of this stuff. Like, I get why some people would be upset with the idea of like a person like Ballerina Farm, because I feel like a few years ago when I was like a really radical feminist, right? I would have been upset too, as somebody who, wanted to flip gender roles and, you know, um, felt like the idea of having a dream like being a ballerina and then in their eyes giving it up for a man, for a family, for, you know, unpaid labor, right? That seems not enough, right? It doesn't seem fulfilling to these women, right? But I said to myself now, right? You can't be a ballerina forever. We know that the talent agent, well, Hollywood and all of those people, right, are ageist. Like, we know that a lot of actresses lie about their age, like Margot Robbie, I believe. Allegedly, please don't sue me, has to lie about her age because of the casting directors and all these people in Hollywood being very ageist towards women, right? And I just, you wouldn't be a ballerina forever. So it kind of feels like, well, yeah, of course she did, right? These are normal things that women have done for centuries, and now it's being looked at like you're in indentured servitude. And like, these women, they have a choice now, and I feel like, why are we acting as if like they don't have a choice? You know? Um I just feel like there's so many more concerns to be worried about than what another woman wants to do with her life. And I understand that for that people like Ballerina Farm and Nara Smith, right? Number one, like EU said, these are working women. These are women who are working. Literally, these are not like pride moms that y'all like to claim that they are. They're still working. Nara Smith is a model. Nara Smith does social media. That's still work. You're still, doesn't she have a higher net worth than her husband. So it's like, y'all are doing too much, in my opinion, right? And I feel like these women are being made out to be like, they're just like, this is the handmaiden's tale, right? And to an extent, I understand, but at the same time, it's literally like, these women have a choice. These women are not doing it because there's this almighty force forcing them to do this. The same way that you chose that you don't want to have children, that you want to have your dog, and you want to do all of that. I completely support those women, right? Like 3-4 years ago, I said to myself, right, I don't want children because I felt, but the thing is, I didn't not want children for a good reason. It was because of fear of being like my mother, instead of actually being like, oh, you know, I don't want to live my life like that, something like that, right? And yeah, I understand that men will use women like Nara Smith and, this whole thing about being submissive and things like that. And I disagree with that center of like YouTube who is just like alpha male and want women to basically be like indentured, servants, right? I don't agree with them, right? And I feel like that's what people are mixing up. I understand they use that kind of verbiage against women who don't want that life, right? But why are we not going for the men who are doing this more than we are going for the women who are just living their lives and being mothers and things like that? I thought y'all said we needed to protect mothers and protect women and all this stuff, but y'all are literally attacking mothers, attacking women who are just trying to make a living and who are just living their lives, not worried about you. Because I don't see these women. I've never seen Nara Smith. I've never seen Ballerina Farm talk about, oh, y'all need to do this and y'all need to do that, and you should be cooking for your man, and you should be da 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 da. You need to give up your dreams. I haven't heard not one of them say that. I'm sure there's women like that who've said it. Then I think I've seen some, but not to the extent that I'm seeing women who, who are a part of the 4B movement and stuff like that. That, I haven't seen it to the same extent, and that feels weird to me. It feels like y'all are attacking women because they don't want to live the same life that you're living, right? And I feel like the shift, and especially when that movie Don't Worry Darling like came out, I started realizing we're seeing a lot of like feminist like horror movies that are like, oh, an evil man wants to, I don't know, like the concept of Don't Worry Darling, like I found it scary when I watched it. I was like, this is horrible, da da da. But I started to realize, right, I don't like Candace Owens, right? But I find her interesting in a way. I find people's mindsets and people, like how people come to having certain thoughts and things like that, very interesting to me. Like, totally, y'all know I love like psychology, right? And, I was lurking. I was lurking, right? And I watched her say something, right? And she was just like, oh, the worst horror thing, right? The worst like nightmare for a feminist was the movie Don't Worry Darling. That's what they thought of when they thought of women in horror. And I was like, you know, I do think she was a little bit exaggerating. I do think, yeah. But at the same time, I said to myself, the world today, right? And I said, maybe there was a little bit of truth in there, right? Because it feels like traditional feminine roles and being a woman and things like that, and just stereotypical femininity is being demonized in such a way that is so psychotic, so weird, especially by other women. That's what's really surprising me. It's other women who are coming out and who are, you know, being so like intense about it. And it's just weird, right? And moving on to the topic of skinniness and so many things, right? We've been hearing so many hot takes about skinny women, right? Especially skinny black women like Slim Kim, and I've mostly just been seeing like think pieces about like slim black women, right? And that might be because like of course I'm in the black community more than like I guess I don't know, the Indian community or something like that, right? And yeah, but like it's being tied to fascism, which is so crazy to me still, right? And of course, inevitably, the alt-right pipeline. And like also there's just been so much vitriol to like black women slash exoticals who wanted to like dress more modest or are talking like the woman who was like talking in my last video, I think, who was talking about like the bubble skirts and like we don't have to show our cheeks at Disneyland. And it's almost like there's this like witch hunt, right? On the side of people who feel like, there's the world is gonna become like George Orwell's book 1989, I believe, right? And like there's literally it's like a witch hunt for like who the traitor is, since the recent election. And I think a lot of people need to be looking in the mirror a little bit because like extremism is very much what brought us here, and like extremism and its language are not going to get us out. And I really hope people start realizing that. But yeah, also I'm seeing like more hatred toward foreign exoticals like Tyla, specifically Tyla, right? And this weird sort of triangulation from again other women, right? We've of course seen like with the what's that guy? I don't even know his name. His name's Aaron something, I think, right? Not Aaron Pierre, but how he called her an uppity African, right? Still disgusting that he said that. Yeah. And yeah, watch this clip and I'll come back with my thoughts.
Everybody always wants to talk about pretty girl privilege. Can we talk about skinny girl privilege? And it's not where you're thinking, so hold on, let me explain. This is my thoughts on being a skinny girl in today's society. It's acceptable for girls to be skinny when they look a certain way. Not by my opinion, by society's opinion. Because I find it mighty crazy that the normal schnormal everyday African American woman is not accepted being skinny. People always calling us too skinny, toothpicks, we need to eat, we have no this, we have no that. But then girls that look like Tyla, I think I'm saying her name right. Tyla, the singer Tyla, she's a skinny mini, a real skinny mini, and she's beautiful. But nobody ever comments on the fact that she's really skinny. And I just feel like it really needs to be studied. Like, why is it okay for lighter skinned women and white women to be skinny? But the minute it's a skinny, tall black woman, it's a problem. We need to eat. We need to gain some weight. We need to go out and get a BBL. Or we're always the butt of the joke. She don't eat. She don't have no booty. It's that and the third. Like, I need y'all to chime in, because is it just me that be noticing this, or is this really a thing? Like, is it acceptable for you to be skinny if you fit society's beauty standards? Because I really be in my head trying to figure this out, because it's confusing. In the black community, why do we have to be thicker than a Snicker? Oh my gosh, look at this one little curl. Beautiful. But no, for real, I just was sitting here thinking about that, because I really don't think it's fair. I think some women have the privilege of being able to be skinny because of how they look and how society views them. And then it's other women that look more like me that if we're skinny, it's like a stigma, it's a problem in the community. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
That clip was a perfect example of victimizing yourself and being in your own head to the point you don't see that you're wrong. And honestly, it reminds me of how I said, like, there was no black people at my college because there was not many in my specific classes, right? I think sometimes when you're in your head about something, even though to an extent it's reasonable, because there is a stigma about being skinny and diversity and things like that, right? But people most definitely have been bashing Tyla for being skinny. Like people have most definitely have been doing that, right? Specifically black women. Um, I've not so much been seeing men, but of course, I feel like because I'm a woman, I might be biased, right? Because I'm not in like men's spaces, right? So yeah, like people definitely have been bashing Tyla, and I feel like her making it this thing of, oh, y'all accept foreign women who are like, you know, skinny and things like that. You need, why are we, what's going on? Because a dark skinned woman could come around, and this is the problem I have with like light skinned savers, social justice warriors and stuff. People who are social justice warriors, right? Because somebody could easily turn around and say, oh well, y'all don't accept dark skinned skinny black women, right? Y'all only accept light skinned skinny women, right? So it kind of feels like, where are you going with this, really? Especially when like we've seen it, like go on, and y'all didn't they call her Tyla on Lipstick Alley, said that she looks like a little Indian boy, which is racist. And if we're gonna call it size phobic or something, right? And yeah, it just feels really like weird. Also, seeing so many black women sit here, and specifically like women like the one who shall not be named, right, that I made a video about, like, say that you're a fascist as a skinny black woman or an exotical woman, right? And just say all this stuff and say that you have privilege and stuff like that, when it's literally never really been a privilege to be skinny in the black community, like literally across the globe. Like you're not, we all have stories about being told that we were too skinny and things like that, and we weren't gonna get a man and da, da, da. I personally was told that growing up, right? And you're actually praised in my community, right? You're praised for gaining weight. There's been so many people who have talked about my body and said, oh, you've become a grown woman now, right? Because you've gained weight and things like that. So why are we pretending like this is like a real privilege in the black community when we know, like, I literally, like, I wanted to go like to the state party, right? And I still might. And my boyfriend was there, like, didn't want me to go. And he didn't want me to go, right? Well, doesn't want me to go. And he was just like, oh, the guys are gonna be all over you and da da da. And I was literally like, babes, I'm literally like tiny. The men, they're not with the specific parties I go to, right? Because I love like twerky music, like Sexy Red and all of that stuff, right? Like, y'all, the last time I went to one, they like the girls with the big butts, the BBL, not like a serious BBL, right? Because I don't see much people with BBLs in real life, but it might just be me. But the girls who have like the natural like big butts, right? And so I was just telling him, like, babes, I'm safe. I'm literally safe. But I'm fine. I'm fine, like literally. Yeah. So why are we pretending that this is now like us being fascist and hateful and all this stuff and being a white supremacist because we are comfortable now with being skinny and we embrace it and we love it and stuff like that when for so long we have been bashed, right? Literally. And just, am I missing anything? Oh yeah, I could talk for hours about like the whole Y2K thing and how people are literally doing this whole thing of Y2K skinny is coming back again with the fear mongering is so annoying, literally, and saying that, just so weird about it and saying, oh, Y2K fashion is coming back because skinny is back in. And to an extent, I understand and I get why that would be said, and I kind of agree, right? But at the same time, like, girl, I've been wearing Y2K. Like, we've been doing this. There's a lot of women who've been doing this, right? And it's literally like, why are we, again, politicizing it is the weird thing. I feel like politicizing it and making accusations is so weird. And again, it's this witch hunt theme that I'm getting. And like further proof of like skinny not being in with the black community, even though Y2K is in and things like that, right? Remember, with Ice Spice like gained her weight back, right? Oh my god. She gained more weight, like her weight that she was before, right? And look how happy people are. Like, how, shout out to a Focus Living because she like notified me of it. I had no idea that she gained the weight back, right? And like, look how everybody was saying, oh, the ice is melted, and we're like bashing her and stuff like that, right? And this is somebody who they love to call a preference and say, oh, they only like Ice Spice because, she's light skin and thick and da da da, right? So it's literally like when you see stuff like that, it's literally like, why are we exaggerating it? It's weird to me, right? And it just shows like the double standard of this whole body positivity thing. Well, Slim Kim is somehow evil for saying that she loves being skinny and it's her greatest joy. Meanwhile, y'all were bashing Ice Spice for losing weight and working out and all that stuff, and y'all were saying she was sick. She's on, the white and all that stuff. It's a double standards for me. Yeah. And then people want to talk about, oh, she only gained it back because, people weren't paying attention to her and, she's falling off. Well, duh. Y'all, this is why they're terrible social climbers, because of course she would. Because y'all said that it was her social currency. So what? She gained back her social currency. Smart ideas. Basic ideas, really. Like, yeah. Um, I'm so sorry. I might make, if I really feel like it, or if I see something, I might make a further video about Ice Spice. If there's like development, but like I'm just kind of waiting to see if, like, yeah. But yeah, I think that's it for today's video. Please like, please comment, please subscribe. Yeah. And see y'all next time. Love y'all. Bye.